Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Now, last week, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar reaffirmed his demand for a caste-based census across the country. He said that the exercise will help in planning welfare schemes for poor other than the Dalits, and this isn't a new demand. In fact, this has been a political hot potato for a while now. So in today's episode of KYC or Know Your Constitution, I will explain to you why such a demand is made and how it relates to the Constitution. Now let us first understand the importance of a caste-based census. A population census, generally we know, is this entire process of collecting, compiling, analyzing, or just collating and putting together data on the people of the country. This is of course demographic, economic and social data that we're talking about here. What this basically does is that the information on size, distribution, socio-economic, demographic or other characteristics of the country's population helps the governments or even private parties or NGOs in planning and policy making, as well as putting together welfare schemes or managing various programs that are put together by these governments, NGOs or researchers, and it helps in this entire process. And this is how international literature explains it, and the analogy is quite interesting. Basically, this literature talks about how census plays an important role in the construction of social reality and collective identities like that of OBCs in India, in the same way that a map is essential to sort of understand the geography of a nation. That's where the analogy stands. And several other issues then depend on the census as well. Now, within the Constitution, for example, Article 81 provides for determining the composition of the Lok Sabha. Now, this has to be done taking into consideration the ratio between the number of seats allotted to each state and the population of that state, and this ratio needs to be constant as much as possible between all states. Then we have Article 82 that mandates readjustment and allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha to the states. Both these exercises within Article 81 and 82 have to be made on the basis of the population figures that come out of the preceding census. Similar provisions are made for state legislative assemblies as well. But now when we come to caste-based data within this census, the last time a comprehensive data on caste was collected was way back in 1931. This is pre-independence India, when India's population included that of present-day Pakistan and Bangladesh. The population has since grown from 270 million at the time to 1.38 billion now. But after independence, the census exercise, the entire thing was drastically revamped. The categories of race, caste or tribe was replaced by scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Now there is little documentation about the discussion or the debate that had transpired or that had happened between the leaders at the time on what the census would include, what sort of data it would include. But subsequent reports and studies have attributed this shift to the belief of a few leaders that including caste data in census enumeration will actually perpetuate caste system and deepen social divides. Of course, this is one side of the debate. That's what probably some of the leaders believed back then. So now the castes and tribes which are specifically notified as scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, as per we have two orders. This is Constitution Scheduled Castes Order 1950 and the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order 1950. Basically these are the SC/ST lists that we have within the Constitution. This was of course necessitated by the Constitution, which mandates and talks about reservation of seats for SCs and STs. For example, articles 243T, 243D, 330, 332, all these articles talk about reservation of seats for SCs and STs in panchayats, municipalities, parliament and legislative assemblies respectively. So for that purpose, SCs and STs are included within the census. So the column SC and ST, the SC and ST column came to be included in the census slips from 1961. But the question regarding OBCs and other castes except from SCs and STs was completely dropped from the exercise. So castes apart from SCs and STs are not made a part of it. And here's the problem. Right from the first National Commission appointed in 1953, all backward classes commissions that were appointed for identifying backward classes experienced genuine difficulty for want of such caste particulars in census figures. The Commission's reports have devoted chapters after chapters to this question and have recommended collection of this data in the census. Within the Constitution, as we know, Article 15(4) allows for special provisions to be made for the advancement of socially and educationally backward classes or OBCs. But in order to identify these backward classes, it is of course important to first ascertain the population of a caste in each state to compare their educational level with the state average after that. So basically experts have of course then therefore demanded that the census should provide backward classes as percentages of population or literates or English literates, graduates, doctors, engineers or even other professional and government servants. But this is possible only if population figures are available along with this caste data. Similarly, Article 16(4) of the Constitution allows for reservation in state services if such backward classes are not adequately represented in the state services. So, to show this adequacy as well, technically experts have demanded collection of caste particulars in the census, saying that this would be essential to understand this point. Experts have often pointed out that because of the lack of caste population figures, backward classes commissions have resorted to other methods to understand or decide or ascertain population figures. Now take the recent Maratha reservation case for instance. The Supreme Court did find fault with how the commission in this case arrived at a finding that Marathas were in fact backward classes. So this is what it leads to. Now, this isn't the first time that such a demand is being made for a caste-based census. The Bihar Assembly has in the past also, in fact, it passed 2 unanimous resolutions, once in 2019, another last year, favoring caste-based census. Last year, in fact, Maharashtra and Odisha governments also passed similar resolutions urging the Modi government to determine the population of OBCs in the country. Now, back in 2009 as well, the caste census was a political hot potato that had divided Manmohan Singh's cabinet in 2009. The Yadav trio, then Samajwadi Party's Mulayam Singh Yadav, RJD's Lalu Prasad Yadav and Janata Dal United's Sharad Yadav had demanded that a caste column should be included in the then ongoing census exercise. The demand had echoed even inside the parliament during a heated debate in May 2010, when leaders across party lines argued that the government needs exact numbers to take affirmative action for OBCs, as I had mentioned before with regard to Articles 15 and 16. So amidst this growing demand for a caste-based census, the Congress-led United Progressive Alliance did decide to undertake the 4th Socio-Economic and Caste Census, that is SECC, in 2011. Then the Ministry of Rural Development and the then Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation had conducted this census in rural and urban areas respectively. The information was collected door to door and the survey covered 24.29 crore households across 640 districts. And as per reports in this survey, 46,73,034 distinct caste names emerged from the report. This included castes, subcastes, synonym surnames, clans, gotra names, phonetic variations, sections, subgroups, etc. And for the first time since 1931, data on OBC population was also collected. But the government published the socio-economic part of the data in 2015 but withheld the caste numbers, and they still haven't been released. So the 2011 SECC data excluding the caste data has been finalized and published, but the caste data was never actually released. And now as well, the Lok Sabha was informed as recently as 20th July that as a matter of policy, the government has decided not to enumerate caste-wise population and caste-based data other than SCs and STs in the census. That's all I have for you now. This is Apoorva Mandhani for ThePrint. For more such videos, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.